Decision making. Decision making is a process. It's not a singular, momentarily decision taking. Like, it's not I decide that I do. Decision making is a process. You need to consider many parameters, many things in order to make the final decision. The deciding step is only the last step in this process. Time and timing is very important parameter in decision making. In the military world, the unpredictability and the uncertainties of the battlefield demands be able to plan correctly and to synchronize the timing correctly. If you give too little time for a stage in your plan, you have built-in flaws in your plan. And this is very important to understand. You always need to give enough time with some spare time so you can synchronize timing of many different actions together, because nothing is standalone in the battlefield. It always requires synchronization of many factors. And of course, you must have the ability to change rapidly and replan and regroup quickly and improvise plans fast. In martial arts, timing is of course crucial. It's not as thing demanded as in military life, but you still need to time correctly your movement with your opponent, your enemy, or with the people you protect. So timing is very important, and it's changing over age, over physical abilities, and it can't be taught. It's very personal because it's your neural system, your own, nobody's else. So you have to train and play with your body to learn your timing. It's very important in military life, in politics, in hand-to-hand combat, to have red lines. The line that if it crossed, you must act. You can have this metaphorical red line and you can have this physical red line. Metaphorical red line can be siege. If the enemy is deciding to besiege you, close your ports, for example. So this can be a red line, a casus belli, a cause for war. If they strike first, if they take hostages. On the street, it can be if somebody harassing your friends. It's a line that you decide that if it crossed, you must take action. The physical red line is the physical distance that if it crossed, you must act. And this, of course, is dependent on the situation. It's not always the same red line. Sometimes you can get close up here, and sometimes it will be a few meters away from you. But it's a distance where you decide that if something crossing it right now, you're taking action. Taking action, of course, is a manifestation of initiative and offense idea, principle of war that we've talked before. But you don't have to initiatively do something active. Maybe what you need to do is using surprise and stratagem and just wait and let the distance to be closed again to be short to act, or waiting for the first strike to come. But the red line is the line where you decided that violence is going to happen. This red line, the border of decision, is the point of no return. When you decide it, you fully committed to what you're going to do. Haste is a rapid and superficial thinking that causes an action without fully understanding the consequences and without fully understanding the alternative courses of action. It means you act by the first thing that is coming up your mind, and this can be caused by fear, by hubris, by plain stupidity, by arrogance, by panic. And usually the solution is very simple. You just hold the moment before you act and make re-evaluation of your decision, of the situation. Hold a second and think. And in hand-to-hand combat, in martial arts, it's really, literally, just hold a second before you act. Maybe you don't want to act. Hesitancy is kind of the opposite of haste. Is the inability to make decisions. Hesitancy caused by collapsing under too much information, so you can't decide which is relevant, what is the best course of action. Hesitancy can be caused by too little information and too many uncertainties, and it's actually not taking responsibility, not taking initiative. And the only way to deal with it is accepting the uncertainties of battlefield. The battlefield is the realm of uncertainties, and you must accept it if you want to be able to function. And it doesn't matter if it's a military combat or hand-to-hand combat. You must make a decision. Any sort of decision. Not making decision is as big mistake as doing the panic influenced wrong decision. Accept that there is no going for sure. There is always risk in taking decision under stressful situations. Always. And it's okay, it's part of life. Environment is also an important factor to consider. It can be terrain, if it's military combat. It can be terrain even if it's hand-to-hand combat. Anything in your environment can be used for fight. It can be used for cover, it can be used for diversion, it can be used for escape route, it can be used for stratagem, it can be used as a trap against you. So pay attention to your environment, make sure you understand it correctly, or even just part of it if you don't have much time to prepare. Things like slippery slopes, slippery surfaces, stones, sand, anything you can pick up and use it as a weapon, tool, is important, is part of the understanding of the environment. What means do you have, what means do your enemy have in the situation, in the combat, are very important questions for the evaluation of situations. Means are the tools, what weapons, what information, what positions, how many men does the enemy have, what are the resources and the usable resources of each side in the situation. It can be standard weapons, it can be lookouts for information gathering, It can be maybe a frontal artillery post that aims fire. Logistic routes are also means. What escape routes are means. And you don't want to use the wrong mean, the wrong tool for your mission. You don't use a cannon to kill mosquito. So it's very important to understand what are the means each side have to make a proper decision. Improvisation is a very important skill. It's not about ideas of what you can improvise. It's about the ability to make rapid decision, not hasty decision. Rapid decision by when you don't have enough information and time to make a proper plan. This ability is very, very important to be able to overcome the uncertainties and the opacity and the fog of war and just make a decision according to your information, to what you know, and do it fast. You must do it in military combat situations many times. You just have to improvise a decision and yet make it the best decision possible. It's not easy, and on the street, of course, it's the same. You don't have hours and days to plan. You have split seconds to make your plan and improvise the best plan you can make. This is hard to do. The best way to prepare yourself and to not freeze under the overwhelming situation is just train under stress. Train your brain to be flexible as much as possible. Flexibility of thinking is very, very important, and acceptance of uncertainties. When you have all the information you have and you evaluate the situation, which is a skill, how to evaluate the situation under the uncertainties, under the too much or too little information that you have, you make an idea of what can be done, which is called courses of actions. Of course, it's important to understand the other side's courses of action in your evaluation of situation to produce your courses of action. And it's important to have more than one course of action, to have at least two possible courses of action that have different points of view, different strategies, different concepts behind them. So you actually have a dilemma to choose for a few reasons. The first reason is that it implies that you actually thought about the situation from more than one perspective. Two, it means that you understand the situation deeply or try to understand it deeply. Third, it gives you it makes you question yourself. Am I not trapped under sort of conception? Am I not lying to myself? Am I diminishing the risks? Do I make less mistakes this way? So having several courses of action also helps you improvise. In case of one of them doesn't work, you already have plan B in your sleeve. So it's important to have more than one course of action. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we can have only one. But having only one on a big scale, on political scale, on geopolitical scale, is wrong. You don't really have that short of time, and you usually don't work alone and have many people to produce more than one course of action. On the street, you don't really have the time for that. You can improvise one or two courses of action and make a decision. don't be afraid of making decisions and taking risks. You have to. Otherwise the risk will come to you anyway. This decision making is the essence of leadership. All they have to do, all leaders have to do is making decisions. All officers have to do is making decisions. Without decision making, you can't call it leadership. This is the essence. And it's a skill. Not everybody can do it, and that's okay. But if you're in a leadership position and can't do it, move aside. Move aside. Give it to someone who can. Without making a decision, you can easily fall into the situation of opacity, and we've already talked about opacity and how bad it is psychologically and how demoralizing it. So make decision, make the process of making decision. It's not only deciding, it's understanding the situation from different angles, different points of view, understanding and making several courses of actions. You can sometimes have to improvise and do it fast. Sometimes you have more time for planning. Be decisive. Don't afraid of making decisions. It's very important. Otherwise you're freeze.